Hello everyone, welcome back to another video from Ben's Sawmill. Today I'm going to show you how I take this stack of lumber that's been sitting out and drying. This is all 2-inch thick pine. The wider pieces are about 12 inches wide and the smaller ones are about 6 inches wide. I'm just going to show you how we take these rough cut boards and plane them down and finish them and then make a nice little project here. I'm going to make a set of steps for my back porch. Now the steps that I'm making are going to be underneath the porch roof, so I'm not worried about them being pressure treated. You can see here where the rough cut lumber goes through the planer. You can see how nice of a finish it has on the outside here when it's coming through. Here's one of the wider pieces, has to go through a few more times. But you can see the dramatic difference from the rough cut down to the nice plain lumber. And here's a before and after shot. The one on the left is the rough cut, and the one on the right is finished after going through the planer. You can see the dramatic difference in the lumber. It goes from being something nobody'd ever think of making a project out of to some nice, clean, finished boards. Now, I didn't video every step of this project, but you'll see here that I go from these nice long finished boards, I just cut them down the length. I cut the 2 stringers on the sides there on the right, and the top and the bottom step there on the left. This is only going to be 2 steps. It's only a short distance from the ground up to my back door. It's about 21 inches roughly, so it's going to be 7 inches to the top of the first step, 14 to the top of the second, and then into my house will be, the top step will be 21. And I just measured these out and cut them down. I made a line here, a mark where I could tell where I was at so that I could just line it up and screw this bottom step on. The bottom step I just screwed in through the side, and you'll see later that I added some support pieces on the bottom underneath to help give the step extra support, so when you step out on the outside edge it doesn't split the wood or crack. This wood being 2 inches thick after being planed is about 1 3/4. It's some pretty thick lumber, so I'm not too concerned about it not being able to take the weight. The bottom step's about 36 inches wide, and the top one's about 44, 45. When I was left over with the piece of lumber I cut the 36 inches off of, there was a piece that was left that was 44 and some odd inches across the top, so I just used that one for the top piece. I split the difference and put that one across the top. Now you'll see here this is upside down. I'm lining this up so that I could screw the top piece on. And what I end up doing here is just making the measurements to figure out where center is so that I can line the piece up so that my top piece has an equal sized lip on both sides. The next thing I did was I took a pocket hole jig here and clamped it to the side, and I take a drill and drill the holes up through, so that way when I screw the top step on, you're not looking down at screw heads. You don't see them. It's not screwed from the top down through. It's screwed from the bottom up. And this jig just helps to make a nice angled area for your screw to go into without splitting the wood, and it gives it some guidance. You don't have to worry about, not going to the right angle and getting enough meat into the top step to hold it on there. I did 2 on the inside, 2 on the outside, front and back, so there's actually 16 screws that hold that top piece of wood on. I know it's a little excessive, but I don't want anything to warp or, anybody step on it, kick it, miss it, anything happen. So I just went a little extra, put some few extra screws in it. Now here I'm just going to line this board up. I'm using the ground piece of concrete to make sure the back pieces are square. I apologize for the angle of the camera here. I had GoPro on my head and it's kind of out of angle a little bit there, so most of these next few steps you're going to see are kind of at the top of your frame. I apologize for that. I'm going to get better the more videos I do here, but do the best I can. And then just showing here where I'm putting the screws into the top step. Now the next thing I did was I looked at the project a little bit and I thought, the board, weakness across the board is with the grain there, so if you're stepping on that piece, and the way I made it, the one step hangs out over a little bit, so there's not really any support on the first 2 inches of each step. So to help with that support, I just took and cut some pieces down. I got a little ahead of myself here. This next step I did was just the back part of the step. Now this is just so that when you step on it, I'm not fastening these steps to the wall or anything. So this is just going to be so when you step on the top step, it doesn't want to teeter the steps back and forth. It's just a downward leg on the back side. You'll see when I spin it over. And all I did was cut these at the same length as the sides and screwed them fast. So there's the one leg, and speed it up here a little bit. I only show a couple screws here on the other side. It's all the same process, just lining it up even with the back and driving a couple of screws into it. And flip this thing over and you have more or less the finished project. I step on it here and you can see it holds my weight no problem, bouncing around on it. I just wanted to make a couple of extra little pieces here, so what I did was I measured across, and like I said, it's 12-inch wide boards. I just did this just to show you that they're 12 inches here. And I went and took one of the pieces that was 6 inches wide and I cut it down. Use a table saw to split it down, and then come back to the miter saw, put it at a 45-degree angle, bevel front and back pieces. I cut 6 of these, 3 for the top step and 2 for the middle step. And all these are for just extra support to just hold the board together and keep things from warping, keep things from splitting. And you know, you have some people that step on the very edge of the step, it doesn't want to split the edge out, because the first 1.5 to 2 inches of that board on the top and middle step aren't supported by anything really. All I'm doing here is just putting 2 screws in it, and I measured it out across, and I made it an equal distance across where, you know, there's a nice pattern to it, and just put these in here. Like I said, 3 on the top step, 3 on the bottom step. Probably aren't really needed, but just wanted to make sure I had enough support. I want these steps to last a long time, so a couple extra boards here make all the difference. Here's my finished product. You can see the slats on the bottom there. Now here you can see the steps. I sanded them down front and back, inside and out. Just wanted to give you a nice look at the finished product here before I give them a coat of stain finish on them. I'll even show you, I'll go around the back side and show you the back here, and just to show you the legs. A little bit of a burn mark there where I ran it through the miter saw, but I'm not worried about that. It's going to be up against the wall. Now here's the finish I used. It's just an outside deck sealer. The can was a little smashed, but I'm not, you know, that doesn't matter. Just a nice look at the finished product here. Kind of gives it a nice yellow tint to it. I just wanted to make sure I got a nice coat of some kind of a deck sealer on this, so that way I did everything top and bottom, inside and out, so that way when it rains, even though it's under the roof, if it gets a little wet, it won't help rot it and keep the bugs out of it. So it just gives it a nice weatherproof seal. That's it for this project. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did enjoy it, leave me a like, give me a thumbs up there, and subscribe to the channel. You know, the more subscribers I get, it lets me know that you guys are enjoying these videos, and I'll continue to make more. It really does give you a sense of satisfaction to have something that, you know, you took from a log, you cut it down on your sawmill, you let it dry, you planed it down, you put all the work into it, and you built something from nothing. I mean, you know, if I wouldn't have cut this log up, it probably just sat and rotted and turned into nothing.